You wake up at 7 a.m. after 8 full hours in bed, but your eyelids feel like lead weights. Your head is wrapped in a thick, suffocating brain fog. Your lower back aches, and your immediate instinct is to reach for your phone or drown yourself in caffeine just to feel half awake. You tell yourself that you simply need more rest. You buy a softer mattress, install blackout curtains, waste hundreds of dollars on sleep trackers, try melatonin gummies, or blame your exhausting work schedule. But you are asking the entirely wrong question. You are not waking up exhausted because you lacked hours of sleep. You are waking up exhausted because your central nervous system stayed locked in a chronic fight-or-flight state all night long. While you were lying unconscious with your eyes closed, your body was secretly running a high-stress marathon. Your heart rate remained elevated, your cortisol levels surged, your spinal muscles stayed trapped in a microspasm, and your core body temperature remained abnormally high. Your brain was flatly denied access to the most critical restorative state in human biology, deep delta wave NREM sleep. You didn't rest. You merely spent 8 hours enduring unconscious physiological stress. When you fall asleep under high neural tension, your glymphatic system, the brain's internal waste clearance network, fails to activate. The toxic metabolic waste accumulated by your brain during the day remains trapped inside your neural tissue, leaving your frontal lobe inflamed and sluggish. This is why you feel mentally poisoned when your alarm rings. In traditional Japanese health philosophy, sleep is never viewed as a passive act of collapsing onto a mattress out of sheer exhaustion. It is engineered as an intentional biological transition, a strict physiological cool-down protocol designed to drop neural tension, flush out metabolic waste, and forcibly shift your autonomic nervous system from sympathetic high alert into deep parasympathetic repair. If you fail to actively trigger this transition before lying down, going to bed is useless. Your mind continues to boil under the surface while your body quietly rusts in place. Today, we are breaking down the 5 ancient Japanese microhabits, backed by modern neuroscience and circadian biology, that systematically reset your nervous system before bed, eradicate morning fatigue, and allow you to finally wake up at a true 100%. To understand why you wake up feeling like you were hit by a heavy freight truck, you must first understand a fundamental, unbreakable law of human sleep architecture. Your brain is biologically incapable of entering deep recovery if your internal engine is running hot. Your body operates on a strict circadian thermal clock. Throughout the daytime hours, your core body temperature naturally rises to keep your metabolic rate high, your reaction times sharp, and your mind alert. But to trigger the cascade of neurochemical changes required for deep restorative sleep, your hypothalamus demands a mandatory drop in your core body temperature of approximately 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Without this precise thermal plunge, your brain refuses to initiate the full release of endogenous melatonin, keeping your central nervous system trapped in a state of high metabolic alertness. The modern Western habit of taking a quick steaming hot shower immediately before jumping straight under heavy insulating blankets completely sabotages this biological mechanism. When you step directly from hot water into a warm bed, you effectively lock thermal energy inside your body's core. You transform yourself into a sealed thermos. As a result, your heart is forced to pump harder and faster all night long in a desperate attempt to dump excess heat, keeping your resting heart rate elevated and completely destroying your heart rate variability. The Japanese engineered a solution to this physiological bottleneck centuries ago through the ritual of Ofuro, a deeply hot bath taken at precisely 40 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius, scheduled exactly 90 minutes before stepping into bed. This practice is not merely about evening relaxation. It is a masterclass in deliberate vascular manipulation. When you submerge your body in hot water for 15 minutes, your autonomic system triggers a massive wave of vasodilation. The smooth muscle tissue surrounding the blood vessels in your hands, feet, and outer skin opens up completely. Blood surges away from your vital internal organs and floods toward your extremities. When you step out of the hot water into a cooler room, that trapped thermal energy suddenly encounters ambient air. Heat rapidly radiates off your skin through evaporative cooling. This process causes your core body temperature to experience a steep artificial drop within the next hour and a half. To your brain, this rapid internal cooling acts as an undeniable neurobiological green light. The pineal gland interprets the plummeting core temperature as the definitive arrival of nighttime. It immediately floods your bloodstream with natural melatonin, driving your brainwaves straight into stage 3 NREM delta wave sleep, the exact phase where human growth hormone surges, cellular repair accelerates, and metabolic waste is swept out of your neural tissue. How to execute this tonight? First, take a hot bath or a 15-minute steaming shower at around 40 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius, precisely 90 to 120 minutes before your head hits the pillow. Never do this 10 minutes before bed. Second, after stepping out, wear light, breathable clothing and spend the next 90 minutes in a cool room kept around 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit, allowing your hands and feet to freely radiate heat into the air. Third, let your core temperature hit its biological floor. By the time you lie down, your brain will effortlessly slide into deep recovery, guaranteeing you wake up energized. To understand why you wake up with an aching lower back and a foggy mind, you must look at where you spend a third of your life, buried inside a plush sinkhole mattress and a thick memory foam pillow. Modern Western bedding culture sells the illusion of luxury through extreme softness. But physiologically, soft memory foam is an ergonomic and thermal disaster for your nervous system. When you sink into a soft mattress, your heaviest body mass, your hips and pelvis, collapses lower than your shoulders. This creates an unnatural spinal sag that forces your core and back muscles to remain in a state of low-grade isometric contraction all night long, just to protect your spinal column. You might be unconscious, but your nervous system is actively working, preventing your body from entering deep motor recovery. Furthermore, synthetic memory foam acts as a dense thermal insulator. It wraps around your neck and head, trapping heat directly against your brainstem, the exact region responsible for regulating your sleep cycles, breathing, and autonomic nervous system. The Japanese solved this anatomical and thermal trap centuries ago through the combined engineering of the Shikibuton and the Sobakawa. The Shikibuton is a thin, firm cotton futon laid directly over woven rush grass tatami mats. Unlike saggy mattresses, a firm sleeping surface provides instantaneous grounding force. It keeps your pelvis, thoracic spine, and cervical vertebrae in perfect neutral alignment. When your spine is flat, your intervertebral discs can finally decompress, absorbing fluid and nutrient-rich spinal fluid overnight. More importantly, neutral alignment sends an immediate neurobiological signal to your central nervous system that postural danger has passed, allowing your deep skeletal muscles to completely disengage and shut down. To protect the head and neck, traditional Japanese sleep architecture relies on the Sobakawa, a pillow filled entirely with natural buckwheat hulls. Unlike synthetic foam that molds tight and traps heat, buckwheat hulls are hollow, rigid, and open-ended. When you rest your head on a Sobakawa, thousands of tiny hulls shift dynamically to support the exact contour of your neck without collapsing under weight. This creates two critical biological advantages. First, it maintains proper cervical curvature, preventing tension headaches and vertebral artery compression. Second, the hollow hulls create continuous passive airflow directly beneath the base of your skull. This allows heat to continuously escape from your occipital region, keeping your brain temperature significantly cooler than your core, a mandatory prerequisite for deep, uninterrupted REM sleep cycles. How to execute this tonight? First, test your mattress firmness. If your hips sink lower than your ribs, place a firm board or firmer mattress topper beneath your bed to restore neutral spinal support. Second, ditch thick, heat-trapping memory foam pillows. Switch to a firm, breathable pillow, ideally filled with buckwheat hulls or organic hulls, that supports the natural curve of your neck while allowing continuous air circulation around your skull. Third, ensure your pillow height aligns your neck directly with your spine, keeping your chin neutral rather than tucked toward your chest. If you regularly crash into bed only to drag yourself out of it exhausted, the real culprit isn't your alarm clock, it's what is sitting inside your stomach. Modern Western culture treats heavy late dinners and bedtime snacks as harmless comfort. But physiologically, flooding your stomach late in the evening forces your digestive system into hyperdrive during the exact hours reserved for cellular repair. Digestion requires massive mechanical and chemical energy, triggering a phenomenon known as diet-induced thermogenesis. As your gastrointestinal tract struggles to decompose complex fats, proteins, and refined carbohydrates, It generates substantial internal metabolic heat. This spike drives your core body temperature back up, completely destroying the crucial thermal plunge required for deep sleep. Furthermore, late-night digestion spikes blood glucose and triggers a surge of insulin. High insulin acts as a direct biochemical inhibitor of human growth hormone, effectively shutting down tissue repair and cellular regeneration overnight. Instead of routing oxygenated blood to your brain for neural cleansing, your heart pumps vast amounts of blood to your gut. Your autonomic nervous system remains locked in hard labor, keeping your resting heart rate elevated and trapping your brain in high alertness. The Japanese eliminated this metabolic trap through the practice of Hara Hachi Bu, a dietary rule of eating until you are only 80% full, paired with strict timing around your final meal. Hara Hachi Bu translates to eat until 8 parts out of 10 full. Leaving 20% of your stomach empty drastically reduces the workload placed on your stomach and liver. When you finish your final meal 3 to 4 hours before bed, your gastrointestinal tract completes its primary duties before your head hits the pillow. Your stomach stays quiet, insulin drops to baseline, and your core temperature plunges unimpeded, allowing your body to redirect its full biological energy towards stage 3 NREM sleep and maximum hormone secretion. How to execute this tonight? First, apply Hara Hachi Bu at dinner. Stop eating the moment you feel satisfied, leaving your stomach comfortably light rather than completely stuffed. Second, enforce a strict 3 to 4 hour fast before bed. Consume 0 solid calories or sugary drinks for at least 180 minutes prior to sleep to allow full gastric emptying. Third, keep your final meal light and clean, prioritizing lean proteins and vegetables while eliminating heavy, high-fat, or ultra-processed late-night snacks. If you spend your days hunched over a desk or sitting in chairs, your body carries a hidden form of anatomical stress straight into the bedroom. A chronically tight, shortened psoas muscle. The psoas is far more than a simple hip flexor. It is the primary structural bridge connecting your upper torso to your lower limbs. Crucially, it is deeply interwoven with your sympathetic nervous system. When you spend hours seated, your psoas locks into a shortened position. To your ancient brain stem, a tight psoas is the primary physiological signal of an active fight-or-flight response. It mirrors the exact defensive posture your body takes when crouching away from danger. Even when you lie completely still in bed, this contracted muscle pulls continuously on your lower lumbar spine. It maintains mechanical strain and feeds a steady loop of subtle threat signals directly back to your brain. This persistent physical tension forces your nervous system to stay hypervigilant. It keeps your resting heart rate elevated and prevents your deep skeletal muscles from achieving total tone relaxation during sleep. The Japanese neutralized this hidden neuromuscular trigger through pre-bed Seiza, a traditional kneeling practice held for precisely 3 minutes before getting into bed. Seiza literally translates to correct sitting. When you kneel on your shins with the tops of your feet flat against the floor and your spine aligned vertically, your pelvis instantly shifts into its optimal neutral angle. This alignment gently lengthens the contracted psoas tissue without forcing or overstretching it. As the tension in your hips releases, the mechanical pull on your lower vertebrae vanishes. More importantly, this physical release triggers a powerful neurological domino effect. Your brain stem interprets the elongation of the psoas as undeniable proof that physical danger is past. Cortisol production slows, your nervous system flips into a parasympathetic state, and your central nervous system prepares your body for complete, deep muscular recovery. How to execute this tonight? First, kneel on a soft rug or mat right beside your bed, placing your knees together, feet flat behind you, and sitting your hips back onto your heels. Second, lengthen your spine upward. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears and place your hands comfortably on your thighs. Third, hold this quiet pose for 3 minutes, taking slow, deep diaphragmatic breaths through your nose to allow the deep tension in your hips and lower back to fully melt away. Your sleep quality tonight isn't decided when your head hits the pillow. It is locked in within the first few minutes of waking up. Most people begin their day in a state of chronic circadian confusion. They wake up in dim indoor lighting, immediately scroll on blue light screens, and step outside only after hours of delayed signaling. This creates a sluggish, lingering melatonin footprint that leaves you groggy for hours and delays your body's internal night clock. The Japanese solved this through the architectural culture of the Engawa, the traditional sunlit wooden porch that connects the home directly to the natural environment. Stepping onto the Engawa first thing in the morning exposes your eyes to the full unfiltered photon spectrum of daylight. When early morning sunlight enters your eyes, it strikes specialized photoreceptors called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. These cells contain a light-sensitive pigment known as melanopsin, which is specifically tuned to the high-density blue wavelength light found in natural morning daylight. Unlike visual rods and cones, these cells do not create images. Instead, they act as a direct neural hotline to your brain's master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, located in the hypothalamus. The moment the SCN receives this photon signal, two critical biological events occur simultaneously. First, it instantly suppresses any remaining melatonin floating in your bloodstream, clearing away morning brain fog. Second, it triggers a healthy spike in cortisol, known as the cortisol awakening response, which boosts your alertness, energy, and mood. More importantly, this morning light pulse sets a precise 14 to 16-hour internal biological timer. It guarantees that when night falls, your pineal gland will flood your system with natural melatonin right on schedule, making deep sleep effortless. How to execute this tomorrow morning? First, within 20 minutes of waking, step onto your balcony, porch, or open a window. Second, look toward the outdoor morning sky without looking directly at the sun, and without wearing sunglasses or looking through window glass. Third, soak in the photons for 1 to 3 minutes, letting the daylight calibrate your SCN for the next 24 hours. To fix your sleep forever, do not try to adopt all 5 habits tonight. Overwhelming your nervous system with radical lifestyle overhauls will only trigger friction and failure. Instead, implement the 5-week protocol. Week 1. Master Engawa Light. Step outside for 2 minutes every morning to calibrate your central biological clock. Week 2. Add Hara Hachi Bu. Stop eating at 80% full and finish your last meal 4 hours before bed. Week 3. Introduce the Ofuro hot bath 90 minutes before sleep to trigger a core body temperature drop. Week 4. Set up your Sobakawa buckwheat pillow to align your cervical spine and preserve vascular brain flow. Week 5. Lock in pre-bed Seiza. Kneel for 3 minutes right before bed to release psoas tension and signal total safety to your brainstem. By adding just 1 micro-habit per week, you allow your neuromuscular system to adapt without resistance. In 35 days, you will have engineered a bulletproof biological evening routine. Save this video right now so you can return to it as your step-by-step reference guide each week.